It's a good year for music. I don't care what genre you listen to, there was something for everyone. So we're gonna go through my top 10 of music, and then you can tell me if you think it sucks or not. Number 10 was The Patience, Mick Jenkins. I've liked Mick Jenkins for a few years, right? But this was the first time I've heard him with this kind of hunger and passion in his music. There's a different tone in his voice that I think worked. It was a good direction. Thinking of 007, Michelin Star, those two songs in particular are my favorite songs on that album. Been in the game a long time now. He's been in the game for 10 years? Damn. So, Patience number 10. Number 9 was Voir Dire. Is it Voir Dire? Voir Dire?
Voir dire.
Voir Dire. The album was highly anticipated between Al and The Alchemist. I'll be honest, I was a bit underwhelmed by it purely because they changed like 3 of the songs when the album came out. If they kept the original track list, I think it would have been higher. My Brother the Wind in particular was a song they didn't put on that I liked a lot, and yeah, I was a bit underwhelmed. Not to say the songs that are on there aren't good. Both the Vince Staples features on there do well on the album. I like the direction Vince Staples is going in. I think I got so attached to the original. They took a long time as well from the original release to the proper release, and I think that kind of annoyed me because we had to wait like 2-3 months for it to come out. When you take that long and then you kind of disappoint people with the track list. I think the launch was a bit scummy with the whole NFT thing. Did anyone even buy an NFT from that album? Probably not. But again, I got a high respect for both those artists. It's gonna go number 9. Number 8 is the reason why this video came out so late, because Hall & Nash 2, Conway, West Side Gun, The Alchemist. I mean, Hall & Nash won the single top tier. I think people realized that was what they wanted. Hall & Nash 2, it's a good album. It's good. It's short. It's more of an EP, if I'm honest. About 25-minute runtime. The amount they packed in there, though, in that short runtime goes to show that if they made it longer, could have been a lot higher on the list. Number 7, I've got some thoughts on because I wish it could be higher on the list. I had it on repeat a long time. Scaring the Hoes, JP Mafia, Danny Brown. I loved that album. It was really well produced. I mean, I've got a lot of respect for JPEG Mafia. It was very purposefully made, that album was. There was a whole world built around it, to be honest. I think that the whole gospel feeling with the samples used and the instruments used in the song. There wasn't anything too special about DLC. I can understand why some of those songs didn't make the cut. Some of them were a bit long. Some of them didn't really fit the whole theme of the album. So I get that. I wish it could be higher. I really wish it could be, because there were some bangers on it. Let me just find some honorable mentions. Step a Pig. Step a Pig was so good. The album's funny. That's what it is. The album is goofy. It's funny. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but in turn gets taken so seriously because it was really well made. JP Mafia is an acquired taste. His production styles are kind of different, but I think if you can get past that and really listen to it in a different lens, you come to appreciate what he does. I like Scaring the Hoes. I like Scaring the Hoes a lot. Maybe I should have moved it actually, but it's too late now. Number 6 is Ways of Knowing by Navy Blue. One of the first albums that I really listened to on repeat in the year. That album was co-produced pretty much by him and Budgie. Something different for Budgie, because from what I've always known him as for a producer wise, is usually like someone who samples a lot of reggae, and he didn't really have any reggae in that. So it was quite cool to see him do something different to what I'm used to. And I think he nailed it. Navy Blue's someone that I have listened to a little bit here and there and other stuff. I haven't really sat down and listened to any of his projects before this, but I'm glad I listened to this one. I highly respect him as a producer. I know he's done some stuff with like Arm & Hammer and El Sweatshirt and stuff. Really dives deep into certain levels of pain. Navy Blue's style of rapping was really poetic in this. You look at songs like Freehold in there, which meaningfully made song with a low-key beat, because you want to keep the content of the song important, what you're talking about in there. I thought that was really cool. Ember's been my favourite song on the album, and I listen to it constantly. I have a lot of respect for Liv and Venna, and they'll come up in a little bit later, because that duo, whatever they seem to touch, works so well. Liv's a vocalist that I respect highly, although her album this year isn't on this list. Venna's a very talented saxophonist and a very talented musician in general. Cicely Box comes to mind. Serious song. Yeah, I have a lot of respect for all 3 of them. What's number 5? This was kind of out of left field. I'm not gonna lie. I had a lot of respect for this album. I don't know why I don't respect this one the same way as maybe Ways of Knowing or something else, even though I've got it higher. Split Decision, Dave Central C. It's a good album. It was good. I liked it as well because I think it got a lot of respect from people outside of the UK, which is rare. It was a good rap album. It was a good UK rap album with your classic 808s, Nothing crazy, we're not talking about drill here or grime, but it had 808s in there, it had trap beats, it had good rapping as well. Lyrically, the two of them are good rappers. Dave's had his flowers for years now, you know, the guy's been in the game for a long time. Central C's kind of new off the block when you talk about the mainstream anyway. I think they did a really good job at making just a good rap album. Again, short runtime, I think it's only 4 songs long, so it's more of an EP than anything, but I don't know what it is. I'm not usually a big fan of UK rap, but I think that was top tier. And while the themes on that album don't have a crazy amount of substance, I don't really think they talk about anything too deep in there. It's more of a victory lap than anything else. Sometimes you don't need that. Number 7's a bit abstract. Some people might not have heard this album. I think you should. Deeper into the soul, deeper in the R&B, deeper in the jazz feel. Leather Boulevard, Be Kool-Aid. I have a lot of respect for Pink Sifu, a very enigmatic character. He raps in this album, but he speaks in this album. His style of rapping is someone who kind of whispers on the beat, and he's calming and he's slow. And to some degree, I like it because it's not an album about him rapping. It's just as much about Artie's production. And Artie's production on that album is really good. I think the reason why I love Leather Boulevard so much is its ability to world build. You look at some of the greatest albums, and their ability to build a world around their albums is what makes the album timeless. You could talk about Food, MF Doom, Shades of Blue, Madlib. These albums create a world and an atmosphere and a constant in them that makes it unforgettable. Mad Villainy, unforgettable because of what it was. It was a dark, grungy, but lyrically heavy album. And this album, while not lyrically heavy, has a theme of blackness, of like a West Coast black street with hair salons, nightclubs, radio shows. There's advertisements in the album. Like there's adverts for a nightclub in the album. There's a monologue of someone trying to get them to their club in the album. There's an interlude of just a conversation in a hair salon in the album. World building. And coming off something like Syrup, which did a very similar thing as well. I liked Syrup. Short, that stuff was good. Number 3 is very similar to the previous vibe of Leather Boulevard, but better. Not so much on the world building stage, but musically it's just a better album. And that's Black Odyssey, Diamonds and Freaks. The stuff on this album are things I didn't even know people still did. He kind of revived the jazz funk movement that you don't really see very often these days. It's a constant of an album. There is a specific feeling and vibe that goes from the beginning to the end. The Alchemist feature on that album was really good because it respects him as a producer, because it's literally just an instrumental, essentially. Broke Folk Funk, that song was magic, to be fair. The feeling you get from some of the music that he makes is untenable. It was real studio production. You're talking about live musicians and music mastering and mixing that you don't really see, because the forefront was the production, the forefront was the music and not so much the lyrics. And the lyrics were great, and the storytelling in this album was great. I don't know where I regard Black Odyssey as an artist. I don't know if I would call him a rapper, a singer. I think he's just one of those people you just call an artist, who can do a bit of everything, who can deliver what needs to be delivered on any song, regardless of the song. And he really flaunted that, because the tone changes and the pace changes in there to match what he created, and he really is one of the most complete artists on this list. And I'm very interested to see what he does in the future, and also what direction he clings to. There was a lot in this. There was predominantly a funk, soul and jazz core of the album, but there were hints of hip hop in there, there were hints of R&B in there. He had a bit of everything, and again, those are representations of blackness in them and the black roots, black music, a very dark feeling in some of those songs, not in a morbid way, but in a very toned way. Diamonds and Freaks, Black Odyssey, you need to listen to that all the way through. It's one of those albums you have to listen to all the way through. Have to. Alright, now we're moving on a little bit to a different feeling, a different vibe. The Great Escape, Larry June and the Alchemist. I didn't expect to love it as much as I did. I kept revisiting it, at least monthly. An album that I wasn't expecting really to have much to it. I knew Larry June as a rapper, but I never really saw myself listening to his projects, and this is why I have a lot of respect for The Alchemist. There's a lot of projects from artists that I only like because of The Alchemist. I'll point to Arm & Hammer, Haram being one of my favourite albums. This was supposed to be an EP. It was supposed to be a 25-minute album, 20-minute album, 4 songs long, just the 2 of them. Larry June's ability to rap on any song, which we'll get to more on in the next album, is something that I've respected a lot more. I've heard him in featuring roles on people like Westside Gunn, Bodie James, other Alchemist songs. I mean, The Alchemist complimented him by, again, showing us his versatility, matching the very Bay Area flow that Larry June offers, and complement each other well. I think it's just a synergy of the two that made the album so good. If you look at even Turkish Carton, the first song on there, Solid Plan, Art Talk, those songs were just good. Not to mention the feature list. You got Big Sean on there, you got Action Bronson on there, Bodie James, Ty Dolla $ign, Big Sean, Slum Village, Wiz Khalifa, Jay Worthy, Joey Badass, Currency. Like, we're talking about a star-studded cast. If you put this on Hollywood, you're talking about Tarantino, bruv. You know what I'm saying? So you've got Alchemist, Larry June, and then you've assembled the Avengers on every song. What more do you need to think about? The album was great. It's gonna be number 2. Argue with your mum. Like, right. Before we get to number 1, I got some honorable mentions. There were some albums in here that didn't make top 10 that I liked the sound of, but they weren't really there. So we're gonna go through them real quick. I'll tell you why I liked them. I'll tell you why they didn't make top 10, and then I can tell you what number 1 is. Stars at Sunrise, Natanya. Natanya's someone I discovered this year. An interesting vocalist from, I think she's from London. She's probably next up, in my opinion. A very good vocalist who clearly has inspirations of the old school R&B days of the late 90s, early 2000s. You can hear it. Someone who's very much in the early days of music. Most artists imitate what made them artists. Alicia Keys, Mariah Carey, Aaliyah, these kind of vocalists in her music and the way she sings and her production. I don't know if she's behind her production. I think so. But again, you hear it in all of her music, and if you slip this into like an MTV compilation in 2003, she'd probably fit right in. And that's why I liked it. That's the kind of music I grew up on. Maybe I'm a nostalgia merchant. I don't know. But it was a good album. Short EP. I'd like to hear more. I'm excited to see what comes next. Sundial, No Name. I was a bit underwhelmed. Sundial was okay. We waited 4 years for the next album. I think I was just expecting the same excitement and rush that I got from Room 25, and then I didn't really get it. Maybe I've just outgrown No Name. That's not any shade to No Name. I have a lot of respect for her as a vocalist and as a poet, rapper. She has a very poetic tone to her voice when she raps. I respect it a lot, but yeah, this album was just kind of cool. God Is Love, Willie Nova. Willie Nova is someone I've watched with great interest. If you're a fan of the underground like myself, you should probably pay attention to him, because I think he might be forcing his way through into the upper mainstream of the underground, if that makes sense. Someone who's very talented. I don't think he makes his own beats. I think he's just purely a rapper, but I could be wrong. A full-length album with some interesting beats, great rapping skills. I think there's more to come from him. I think there's more evolution for him in his music style. My last one is Flying High, Part 1 and Part 2, The Alchemist. Kind of hard to put it in on my top 10. I don't think it fits. I think there's some really good songs on there. I like hearing The Alchemist rap, which he did on both parts. I really wanted the merch. I missed out on the merch. I imagine there's going to be a compendium album, but we'll see. L's on it, Mike's on it, Action Bronx is on it, star-studded cast. Can't really go wrong. Album number 1. This album had me in the chokehold for ages. I still listen to it all the time to this day. Burning Desire, Mike. I listened to Mike for a good few years, and the evolution of his ability to rap has been astounding to watch. And his work rate is insane, because he released 2 projects before this one in a year. He dropped Beware the Monkey end of 2022. He dropped that collab album with Wiki and The Alchemist like May, and then he dropped Burning Desire in November. And I mean, wow. The step up of that music compared to his previous songs was so good, because he explored different themes in there. He explored more refined and clean themes. I think he had fun with it. I think he was adventurous with it. He's someone who explores and experiments in his music a lot. Larry June featuring there. Again, showing off Larry June's versatility to rap on almost any beat. And also, Mike as a producer, him as a producer to make a beat that fits that Bay Area rapping style again, something I wasn't going to expect, especially from someone like Mike, who doesn't usually do that. Some of his samples, I don't even know how he does that. No one has found the Burning Desire sample to this day. Burning Desire being my favourite song on that album. You pair that with some of the other directions he took. Looking at Muscle Beach. I like that direction though, with like Niante, El Custu. I think it flaunted Mike's ability to be versatile as a rapper. Probably one of the best rappers on this list. He has a lot of depth in his lyrics and his music. You can also hear his inspiration from the likes of The Alchemist, because he's clearly worked with him. Another Living Venom feature with You Think Maybe. Great song again. Those two, when they work together, Rey Mysterio and Sin Cara, bro. Those two are top tier musicians. And it goes to show that when you put them on songs together, that they make things work. So that's my top 10. I hope you enjoyed it. Please share your opinions in the comments. If you think my top 10 sucked because I didn't have Ghana in it or something, let me know. Yeah, thanks.